Well, hello everybody. I know it's been a while since our last conversation, since our last check-in. A few things have been happening since then on the field and off the field, as I'm sure we're all aware. And if not, then I hope I can fill you in a little bit. Today's focus, or at least for this video right now, just want to focus shortly on the streak that Barca currently finds themselves in. Obviously, very happy as a Barca fan to see the kind of run that we're on, to kind of see this momentum that we've been building for really honest since Flick's arrival, so already since the summer of 2024. But I'm also very weary of jinxing it at such an important, or just as we're reaching the crunch time of the season, I would call it the final third of the season, and we are currently, as we speak right now, in for all three competitions. So La Liga, the Spanish Cup, and the Champions League. Oh, I'm scared of mentioning the Champions League. My God, no. Too much trauma, too many flashbacks, too much falling on our face. Okay, so basically yesterday against Mallorca at home, it's nice. I think we didn't play in the Camp Nou between the middle of December and the end of January, so now it's nice to basically after a month and almost a half to go back to playing at home, even though the stadium is not completed. So it was a very what we like to call in Spanish victoria profesional. So sort of a professional victory, one of really where Barca uses the more it's not so much about the dazzling and the sparkling, the shining, but really just we needed the 3 points, and that's kind of how we've been operating lately. Even though on average we score 3 goals a game and are the highest scoring team in the world right now, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's something we're competing over the last year and a half with Bayern and PSG, but we're the only team in Europe or in the top 5 leagues to have 3 players or more on double digits in terms of goal contributions. So goal contributions is obviously the concoction of goals and assists. So even though those are not the equal, I would say it's still an incredible thing, and that's just Flick's Barca. So basically, what I say, the first 20 minutes yesterday in the game against Mallorca, just have the foot mob app here just to help me visualize what I saw in the game yesterday. So basically, it was a really terrible first 20 minutes, and that is a pattern that we've been seeing with Barca lately. They really struggled to get into the rhythm. We saw it against Copenhagen. We saw it also against Albacete. We see it now against Mallorca in the last couple of 5 games. Even though we're winning these games, besides the Real Sociedad game, which is actually one of the best games I saw Barca play this season. It was one of the few we lost. We don't win the second balls. We're not causing disequilibrium on the wings. We're not taking them on. Mallorca is the second team after Levante in Spain to play with the lowest block. So obviously we know what we're up against are those teams like Levante, Mallorca, Getafe, the really low block defensive teams, but really rapid on the counterattack. And I think they could have had even 1 or 2 goals with Jan Virgili on the wing, who's an excellent player, one who was on Barca's books, and we still have an option to buy him at a reduced price. He's definitely one of the more exciting players outside of the top 3 teams in Spain to watch. So the first 20-30 minutes were really worrying, but I would say worrying, just not nice to see, not really the Barca we're used to seeing, but we're used to seeing that they're not the Barca we're used to seeing in the first 20 minutes. So basically, there was not a lot in motion, not a lot of movement. The best player was Rashford in the first half. He was really attempting, cutting in on his strong right foot and then going for really hard shots. And it was great to see Rashford get a start again and play with that impetus and to play with that energy. Even though there was a moment where we were a bit worried that he could go off injured, but then he came back. So really happy to see that. And then Lewandowski got his goal sort of towards the second, sort of towards the last third of the first half. And from there on, we kind of said, okay, this is now probably going to be something we're going to build on in the second half. It never felt like the game was in doubt after we got our first goal, but the game did feel like it was in doubt before we got that goal. The high line, very risky, many offsides, of which is great. That's what the high line is Hari-Kari football of Flick. It's not so much about not conceding, it's about outscoring the opponent. And that seems to be the mantra, and Flick is not going to change that now. although one feels that we could have been in the Champions League final last season if we had just shut up shop 3 minutes left against Inter. But again, that's very Barca-esque to talk about all the traumatic European adventures. I would say that, Mallorca played really exciting football on the counterattack, but really defensive, keeping that line with 5, even 6 men many times, really compact and really staying a low block, which is what we expected. But they have some really exciting players, especially their fullbacks. Maffeo, who even played for Argentina a few games after being nationalized, and then also Mojica. For me, he's one of the legendary Colombian left backs. He's always exciting to watch, and there's a great duel between him and Lamine. And one has to say, in the first half, Mojica really did get the better of Lamine, even though in the second half, Lamine really started shining. And basically, then in the second half, wonder goal by Lamine, incredibly Lamine-esque, was cuts in on his left foot, and then even from a distance he manages to trick the keeper. So the keeper puts all of his weight on the right foot, and then he goes for the left side of the keeper, wrong foots him. Wonderful, no deflection, so it was really meant. Just beautiful to see. And then what was also beautiful was to see Bernal getting his first goal for the first team of Barcelona. Now the Bernal story is one that really touches a lot of Barca fans' hearts. We all remember at the beginning of last season, in Flick's first games, Casadón and Bernal formed a double 6 pivot position. And I think Barca won like the first 6 or 7 games of that season. And it was just beautiful until he got injured against Rayo Vallecano in August of 2024. I think it was the third match day, or the second or third match day of La Liga. And he then was basically out for a year. He's actually been fit now for several months, but he's only been getting more and more playing time over the last couple of weeks, especially since I didn't post last week. So that's when he's been getting more game time. He's been really dosifying. I think you can really see the affection that Flick has for Bernal. I think it's really important. I think it's beautiful to see. And he really seems like a differential player. He really seems like that player who could go up and take that Busquets role in his own right. Bernal is much more forward thinking than Busquets, but given their height and given that they're both Catalans and from La Masia, and given that they're both kind of tall and lanky in a very good way, it's exciting to see. I really missed him while he was away, and it's great to see him back. All the Barca fans are happy. But what's interesting was yesterday his goal, he actually went on the run. He actually carried the ball. It was managed to keep the defenders from not catching up to him, and then when he got into the box, he sort of cut back a little bit, sent the defender sliding, and then through a deflection managed to score. However, that goal was pure, it was pure jeopardy, it was pure, footballing IQ, and he's still only 18 years old. It's wonderful to see that with Bernal. And it was also great to see Casado get some minutes yesterday. Like Flick said, Casado's really been playing well. He's had a very, I would say, average or below average season so far. But that's only because most Barca fans measure Casado against his brilliant performances in the first third of last season. So really from August until November 2024, Casado was the best midfielder Barca had. And that was because we had many injuries at that time as well. But it was happy to see that kind of summer 2024 flashback of having Casado and Bernal playing yesterday. And also big shout out to Dani Olmo, who's really playing well. He's breaking those lines, his goal contributions. He's really racking up the stats, but he's also so important on the field. He's kind of now taking a step back. He's not so much now like the second striker attacking midfielder. He's more of that central midfielder attacking midfielder, filling that role, breaking the lines, and especially against the low blocks, his football knowledge. And just, also at the age of 28 or 27 or 28, he's one of the older guys in the team, and you can see he's bringing that experience with him as well. Just a few stats to keep in mind. Obviously, he's a Barca fan, but that's now 17 victories out of the last 18 games in the Spanish league. It's a fascinating statistic. It's obviously very exciting. You can tell we're happy about it, but at the same time, no season is decided on the 8th of February. Another statistic is that I have them written down here. That we had 9 homegrown players yesterday, 9 La Masia players, and most of those are Catalans. I think that is a special statistic or a special thing to mention in the modern game, where it's also where everything's so international, which is also wonderful. But it's fascinating to see how not only Barca can use it's like a cheat code, right? The Masia, the youth academy, but also to have so many Catalans. The debut of Tomi Marquez, someone who's been playing in the Barça Atleti, so Barca's second team in the fourth division, managed to come on. He really does resemble De Jong, slicked blonde hair, but also pretty tall. And he mentions De Jong is his role model. I would say that's one player that we'll be seeing, maybe still not so much of, probably more next season, which is as Flick has highlighted it. And I think, as I mentioned, an average of 3 goals a game. We keep that going. However, the defense is really concerning. However, we're starting to see that they have, the defense is now better than November, December time and October last year, where we were, losing to Chelsea, and we lost also in September and stuff to Sevilla and to PSG, and the defense really was a problem. We couldn't synchronize the high line. The person who was anchoring that was Inigo Martinez, and he left. But honestly, wonderful victory from Barcelona. And I think also in Hansi Flick's around 80 games for Barcelona, we've actually come back in 18 of those from a losing position. Obviously, that wasn't the case yesterday, but against teams with perhaps more prolific strikers or players who can take their chances, especially in the Champions League or teams in the top 5, 6 in La Liga. That defense is still a worry, but it is starting to shape up a bit more. And we're not going to negotiate Flick's tactics or the Barca DNA of focusing on attack rather than defense. But one feels that Barca is constantly in control. And that game we lost to Real Sociedad, really have to say, that was one of the best games I've seen. And we had like 3 disallowed goals. The offside was millimetrical. I'm not a fan of those things. Also, if it goes against us, I don't want to see an offside given for someone's toenail. Also just to say that Lamine, he's the star of the game. I would actually say it was Rashford. He just didn't get his goal, but Lamine is, he's starting to hit fine forms in the last 3-4 games. He's really done that. He's got now 5 goals in 5 games, and he's just 3 goals away. Now sitting on the 8th of February from his goal tally of last season. So I think he's starting to really understand the importance of his goal contributions as well. He's obviously been carrying a knock on the pelvis. One can see that he really wasn't himself. Honestly, I have to say, up until the last month, he really wasn't playing. Even up until 3-4 weeks ago, he wasn't the Lamine that we know. He wasn't as, he was still causing differences, but he was still the guy who was going to probably be the difference maker. But the impetus was always then on Pedri and perhaps on the other players to step up. Also Fermin, who stepped up a lot with goal contributions and is kind of that. This is a starting player for us as well, who's earned that spot. But Lamine now definitely is on fine form, and he's starting to resemble the Lamine from 2024 and 2025, which is wonderful to see. It's very exciting. I'm very afraid to jinx it, but it's wonderful. Now obviously we go on to the Copa del Rey, so there's a semi-final against Atletico Madrid. Very exciting. The teams that are left, all traditional teams in the Spanish Cup. Atletico Madrid, Real Sociedad Bilbao, so a Basque derby on one side, and then Barça against Madrid on Atletico Madrid on the other. That'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, with how to say it, the positive side that the return leg will be at home. The Metropolitano is a really difficult stadium to go to, but last year we did pretty well in that stadium, winning both in the cup and in the league. So let's see. And otherwise, other news is that Barca stepped down from the Super League. This is perhaps not much more than just another act of, that symbol the broken relations with Madrid. Now, obviously, only Florentino and Madrid are left in the Super League project. And Arbeloa, obviously, in his press conferences, far more vocal than Xabi Alonso, talking about Negreira and the case and how it's still not solved. And obviously, this is something that didn't go down too well in Barcelona. And it just, again, highlights a bit that the broken relations with Madrid are there. I think that tension is starting to increase again. I think it was pretty quiet between Barca and Madrid pretty much from like 2019 to like 2000, probably until like this year. it's starting to get tense again. It's starting to feel not so much Mourinho Guardiola era, but it's definitely getting tense again. And I hope that doesn't spill over as it did back in the day, because no one wants to see that. A lot of my Madrid friends are saying the same. The Barca fans the same. It's the most wonderful rivalry in football, or one of them. But we don't want to see it spill over to the side where it just gets toxic and negative, and then where the media gets involved, and it just becomes very difficult. But yeah, so really exciting for Barcelona at the moment. But still, if Madrid win, they're just 1 point behind, and I think that's really something to consider. And now moving forward, trying to keep that momentum and try to keep the control. I think that's really special. Thank you, and look forward to my next video.